Welcome to episode 8 of Spilling the Tea with F&B with Sid and I.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome back, Sid.
Thanks.
So many of you may not know, she actually just got back from London, the UK.
You wouldn't have known though, because Michael was actually posting my pre-planned posts on Instagram.
So on Instagram, I was managing it. I think they might have known because I don't use those sassy words and those type of really. Well, I tried.
Well, I tried to sass up the descriptions ahead of time so that all you had to do was like press enter and be like, oh, Sid's not even gone.
Right.
But,
so I did, yeah. Enter, go, enter, go, enter, go. And I'll review the comments every now and then.
I try to make it seamless for him, guys. So.
But it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah, so I was going back and forth between my profile. Between my profile and Fire and Brilliance for about a good week or so. But welcome back.
Thank you.
You look nice and relaxed.
Thanks.
And
I feel nice and relaxed.
Good.
That's important.
It's very important.
To feel the way you look.
To feel the way you look and look the way you feel.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely. So, well, I mean, I would love for you to share your stories and how your experience over in the UK later.
Yeah, sure.
But today's episode, I think, is going to be super interesting.
Okay.
Guess what it's about? You already know.
I know.
Okay. You want to share it?
It is the online versus in-store shopping experience, and from that we talk about our personal experiences and how it relates to what we do.
Exactly. So I think the way it's going to roll out here is today's episode is going to be about the online experience with shopping versus going into a brick and mortar, typical traditional retail store. Yes. We'll share the pros and cons, our own experiences rather, and then on top of that, the jewelry business and what this means to the jewelry business.
Oh, sounds good. Bing,
cool.
Bang, boom. Let's get
All right,
started.
let's go.
How?
All right, so let me start off. So basically, there is a pre-internet and post-internet shopping experience, right? And when I say pre-internet and post-internet, I mean from the time the internet actually matured. For people to actually start shopping online. When the internet was first created, obviously no one was shopping online. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm referring to e-commerce, online shopping experiences after people have been used to going online, can trust the internet and trust the businesses that operate off the internet, right? So that's exactly what I'm talking about. So with that said, obviously the traditional way of shopping for many decades, people were going to shopping malls. People were walking into actual malls, into stores to actually feel, touch, smell, and really experience that shopping experience in stores.
The good old days of walking around like a mall rat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Back in high school and those type of things. Yeah, I used to be stuck in the malls all the time. But anyway, that was the thing to do.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it still is. I mean, like, do these high school kids?
I don't know anymore. I don't really hang around high school kids anymore. Okay. I know I look like one. Shh, don't comment on that.
Okay. I just said. But anyway, so the whole thing about going into a brick and mortar store versus the online experience, and I just want to share my personal experience as to how I think about it and as to how you may perceive it and as to how people are typically shopping these days. But personally, I feel like over the years, as the internet has definitely matured and businesses have built more credibility to sell online, and these big e-commerce types of big businesses and brand name stores have really established a place online, I feel like the shopping centers and malls are definitely getting less and less traffic based on my own personal experiences, based on the shopping centers as well as the malls that I go to locally, including myself. I definitely do not see myself walking into a mall as often as how I used to when I needed to buy something. And I would have to say it's because of the internet, because of the comfortability of buying it from your own home, because of the accessibility of being able to just pick up your phone, not even the desktop anymore. You don't have to press and load it up and just kind of get on the phone, and as soon as you open the app or go onto the site, you could start shopping.
I think the internet is definitely about being incredibly lazy. It's just, I mean, if you've ever watched Wall-E, you can see that it's not super far-fetched of an idea to advance to the state where we just do everything from the comfortability of our own homes, from the seat that we're sitting in, and just have it there. I mean, VR is, coming through, and it's just like, we're only like a few steps away from just having everything at our hands.
And it's so mind-boggling because if you were to say this even 10 years ago, I would say you're crazy, you're out of your mind that this will happen. But now, and for those that do not know Wall-E, it's basically a Disney cartoon that emphasizes on what the future may be for human nature. But anyway, I don't want to ruin the movie. It's actually a really good cartoon. It's a very fun cartoon. Yeah. So, but with that said, I totally agree. I don't think it's that far-fetched and that far away from people to just really start doing everything from the comfort of their homes and never even have to leave. I mean,
flying vehicles, where are you at?
Right. I mean, these days you could get a car to pick you up within minutes to go from point A to point B. So technically you don't even need to own a car anymore. These days you could have hot food, delivered straight to your home, to your workplace, or to anywhere.
Driverless cars are gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
It's already a thing, but it's going to be a thing for everybody.
Right, exactly. Soon. It's already a thing. I mean, so with these electric cars and driverless cars and all these different things. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I think the internet was the gateway to open up the basically floodgates to everything that's going on right now. So with the whole online shopping experience, I would have to say that I'm currently and my wife and I and most of our friends and family are purchasing items online, having it conveniently delivered to your door, having the item be able to the accessibility of being able to get something that before you may have to actually fly across the country because that one store had that one item. Now they could just easily deliver it to you. Right? And as long as they know how to take a picture and post it online. So those are, I mean, that's basically my experience with online shopping. But why? So what makes me question is, so why do people even go into stores anymore? And from my personal experience is that the times when I do want to go into stores, when I do want to experience that live shopping experience, when there's a specific item where I personally want to go there, touch it, feel it. If it's a fragrance, smell it.
Only if it's a fragrance.
Music, listen to whatever it is I want to buy. If I want that personal really experience, then that's when I would go into a store. But even that, I'm sure you already see this almost everywhere because I see it personally everywhere we go these days. If it's a restaurant, if it's in the mall, if it's just even in people's cars, this is what people are doing. And so for those of you that are listening on the podcast, basically what I'm doing is I'm looking at my phone, head down, and I'm just typing away. Right?
You're like every member of my family during Thanksgiving. I'm not kidding.
And I think it's almost everybody. It's not just your family. I think it's almost everybody. Everywhere you go. I mean, take a look when you're driving.
It's kind of sad, but it's true.
Take a look when you're driving. Right when you hit the stoplight, right when the stoplight turns red. What are people doing naturally? Immediately they're looking at their phones. Immediately. Right, so everyone's glued to their phones. Everyone's looking at their phones. So there, all these notifications, push notifications, all of these things are being tied to the phone. So going back to what I'm saying, so even when I'm in a store, a brick and mortar store, mom and pop store, inside the mall, big branded store, what have you, what people are doing with these brick and mortar stores is that although they're shopping, they're feeling, the touching, a lot of times they're actually shopping that local store to see if they can get it for less online. And that seems to be the case. So I don't know what's going to happen to the future of these brick and mortar shops and stores, but I definitely do know that as of this moment, there's a huge discrepancy in how businesses, or maybe even a confusion as to how businesses are trying to run their business, because to open a a retail store inside of a mall, it's not a drop in the bucket, right? So especially if it's in a high-end type of mall. For example, here in the Bay Area, one of the high-end malls here is Valley Fair, and in Southern California, around Orange County, the very high-end mall is South Coast Plaza, right? So it's very expensive to rent this real estate and to open the doors for people to walk in. But if people are walking in just so they could touch, feel, and see, and then shop them online, then what is the incentive for the business to even do that anymore? And we'll get more into that in a few points and later on to this episode. But I want you to share a few personal experiences of as to what you think and how you feel about the whole online versus the walk-in type of environment.
Well, actually, I had the exact idea, which was there's a retail store that I usually look up online and see their inventory online and everything like that. But I wanted to check out if like their pair of jeans would fit me correctly. And jeans are, like they can fit you in various ways. They can hug you around the waist, they can hug you around the hips, and also the stuff differently than they would on a model or on a mannequin or whatever. So I wanted to see myself if this pair of jeans that I really wanted fit me like the ones that I already had by the same brand. And they had this store in the UK. So I went there in person just to check it out. But their store was small, and so I kind of just browsed certain things that they had on the website. Obviously, on the website, there would be more of their inventory. I just went there to try on their clothes, and even they mentioned that certain jeans in certain washes fit differently than the other ones. And so I tried it on for myself, and then I thanked them for the opportunity. But obviously, I would be wanting to shop in bulk, so I wanted to, take what I had learned and then go online later to shop everything that I wanted to, knowing how it fit. So that was very beneficial for me, just like being able to go into the store. And they also mentioned that they had branched off to other like types of retail as well, because they can also be like a vendor, not just their own brand. So I could always shop online there as well. But it was just being able to have that experience was very beneficial for me. And then also another retail store that I liked in the past, but I had recently gotten a gift card for. I felt it was better to like use the gift card in person, because being able to return something online with a gift card purchase, half gift card, half like your own personal bank payment, makes it very difficult. So that's why I had to go in person, just to see and make it all seamless for myself. But when I went there, I didn't see it was a huge store. It was a huge store, the size of like maybe half of our office here.
Okay.
But there was nothing that I could see that was anything that I saw online, because much of their inventory had already gone out because of the season was gone. But then online they had both of the seasons still available. It would just be in a different area, like deals or something. But again, what that means is that like all the sizes that I would have wanted to see, to try on and everything like that would have been available online rather than in person. In person just felt so limited to me. But yeah, I feel myself shopping more online than in person recently, in the past few years, just because it can be very tiring and time consuming when you walk around in the mall and in a store for so long, because it's hard to make up your mind. But with online retail now, it's so easy, especially for companies who offer like free shipping back and forth, for you to just, surprise yourself with like a little Christmas present any time of the year. And, try, touch, see, feel, and then if you don't like it, you can return it and exchange or anything like that. And so it makes it such an easy and accessible service for us all. And I think that just saves time. And I think I don't have time to like go around and browse everything like I was when I was young, when I was younger. So yeah, that's basically my experience there.
So the few takeaways that I definitely can take away from your conversation here is you mentioned time a lot.
Yes.
So obviously time is extremely important to you. And
it is.
Right. So and I would say that I think that is also the case for many people that are currently shopping online and doing things online. It's the essence of time. Um, Before, if they needed something, the only option before, as in before e-commerce and all that, the only option is if you needed something, you would have to drive to the store, go buy it, then drive back, hopefully within the window of your lunch hour or something like that, right? That may take up the whole lunch. As opposed to now, during your lunch hour, you may shop for that item within 5 minutes, and you'll know it'll come tomorrow. In many instances, it may be the same day, depending on where you shop, right? So I think time is definitely an extremely important factor. The second thing as well is obviously the whole idea of shipping and back and forth and the convenience of doing it on, again, your own time.
Yes.
Right?
The word of the day is?
Your own time. Yeah, time. So I think that's extremely important. But at the same time, oh, no pun.
Oh, no.
I do have friends and family members that I mentioned earlier. Many of my friends and family members do prefer to shop online these days. But I do have friends and family members that still do not like to shop online. And matter of fact, I have a very close friend where he only prefers to shop in person because he still loves the personal experience. He mentions to me that it's just not the same. He likes to go into a store. He likes to know what he's buying. He likes to feel the cloth of the clothing. He likes to see the true color. So even if he was to buy black shoes, sometimes there are different shades of black. Purple, there are different shades of purple. Same with reds and blues and greens. So he wants to know exactly what he's getting. He does not mind too much of the limited options, which is what you had mentioned earlier. Obviously, buying online, the options are almost unlimited because it's as simple as snapping a picture, providing the options, pricing it out, and then there you go. Whereas if you were to stock all of this inventory in store, there's only so much space. So they have to be efficient with their space, and they have to, again, like you had mentioned, be smart with the seasons, especially if it comes to fashion, clothing, and that type of environment, right? But to go back to my friend who loves that in-store shopping experience, I think it's still very much alive. I think the in-store shopping experience is a very fun experience, especially if you have a weekend off of work and you want to do something outside of the house to really just use that time to spend time with people that you care about and at the same time make a day of it, right?
I definitely still appreciate the in-store shopping experience for other things, other than, like clothing. I love going to recycle bookstores, and I love going to thrift stores, and I love, being able to choose something that is it's not mass produced anymore, something that is one of a kind. That's when I feel like I really enjoy the experience because I'm never going to see the same thing ever again. If it's,
And those items are very hard to find online, by the way.
Exactly.
Right.
And they're secondhand. And obviously there are websites, like Poshmark and other stores like that. But it's not the same experience as if I were to go into one of the thrift stores that I love.
Right. But let me ask you this. So let's just say if the entire world was able to get all of the products and services listed online and sold, would that eliminate the option of even going to these vintage antique stores? Or would you buy it online? I mean, I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. So let's just say eventually if the space grows so much and matures to the point where hypothetically the entire brick and mortar business model is obsolete and everything is online other than a few vintage stores here and there, but they are already available online, can be shipped next day to your door, will that eliminate you from actually going to those stores?
I don't know if anything can beat like the smell of an old book.
Got it.
I don't know if that, if you just fan it to yourself.
Scenarios.
Yeah, there are definitely specific scenarios that I love to use all of my senses to shop with. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
That is something I don't think that even VR, if there was a simulated thing where I could walk into a store and try on stuff, I don't think it could take away that from me.
Right. And the whole VR idea is just crazy, but that might be another episode that we can get into. But just to share a little experience, I was at an arcade with my son the other day. There is this Jurassic Park VR ride, and there was a line for it. Okay.
Elaborate.
And I had no clue what it was. It was the most realistic, ridiculous, and awesome experience that I had with a VR, because I've never actually experienced a whole VR
Sure.
type of experience. There were dinosaurs running to my right, dinosaurs running to my left, and it looks like it was right there. Like, Matthew and I were right in there, but it seemed so real that I couldn't believe it was a VR experience. So I can only imagine, what if one day they were able to create a VR shopping mall.
Right, exactly.
Exactly, and it just felt so real, as if
And you
you
could
and
try
I
it
are
on.
talking right now, but all I was doing was just moving my head up and down, left and right. If that is ever truly the case, we will be like the movie WALL-E, like, for sure. If technology advances to that point, I do not see why people would even leave the stores anymore, because that experience would be. Imagine if you could even customize that experience to your own liking. So if you wanted the mall to be pink or green or whatever, or if you wanted that mall to only have specific stores, or if you wanted to just be able to have no one in the mall and you're the only person in the mall.
Ooh.
Or
The world is my oyster.
exactly. So
I went somewhere
imagine
else.
if
I'm
the
back.
mall was on the beach, like literally on the beach, where you're walking on water. What if, it's limitless, because imagine if you could customize your own experience, right?
Well, I hope we're on a treadmill the entire time. You've seen, okay, just watch the movie WALL-E. I'm just gonna. It doesn't go somewhere good for your body, but I will say that, reading books like Ready Player One, and there's a movie about that, but the
Okay.
book is
I don't know anything
way
about it.
different from the movie. Anyway, it helps to also have some way of exercising while you're being fully immersed into this other reality, because otherwise you kind of lose all sense of yourself and what you look like in person. And does that even matter anymore once VR comes along? Like, does it even matter what you look like, what they look like?
I sure hope so. I really do.
I hope so.
Because then VR will truly just be an extension of your mind as opposed to your body. And if your mind can only go so long.
It's definitely getting there, and that's what scares me.
Right.
A little bit.
It's very scary, but it's exciting at the same time.
Yes, it's
because-
something new.
Right. It's just hard to stop progression. When the internet came out, and a lot of people were scared of it too, and look now, the whole world's online, or almost the entire world, right? So, but not to get off on a tangent.
Sorry.
I think the subject was what again? Online shopping versus brick and mortar. We're talking about
Existential crisis.
We're talking about one step ahead of the whole online experience, right?
Right, yeah.
Virtual reality is really the brick and mortar experience online. That's pretty much what it is. So with that said, I think let's go into some. Do you have any other personal experiences that you may want to share before going to pros and cons?
Brian, one of our media people here, he
Hi,
has
Brian.
one of his best friends, Abby. She has her own retail store, and she used to have a permanent store space, but because of not receiving as much attention as she would like as online, she made it so that she has pop-up spaces now, just like towards events that are local, and so people can actually visit and see her stuff. But
Makes a lot
then
of
obviously she won't have to rent out a space permanently and waste so much time doing that. You would just be spending that money bettering yourself, bettering your quality, which is, I think, more beneficial.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, from a business perspective, it limits her liability, right? So let's just say she signs a 3-month contract, and the 3-month contract extends to 3 months, so she knows she's only tied to that expense for 3 months. And if her items are very popular or trendy, then it gets everyone to actually go to that pop-up location, buy for 3 months, and then she'll be able to maximize her outcome that way, as opposed to the traditional way of signing a lease. You got to sign a lease for at least at least 1 year, until however long you want to sign it. So that eliminates the expenditure side for her. So I think that's a very smart strategy, and a lot of these pop-up stores are popping up everywhere, and I think that's the reason why. I think that's their way of bringing live products to the local community without that attachment to a long-term contract, but at the same time to adapt to the online environment.
With that in mind, would we ever open up a pop-up store?
I think that there's potentially an opportunity to do something like that. I haven't decided to do anything like that in the near future, but to say that I've never thought about it, it's not. I've definitely thought about it, right? So we do get a lot of people that request to come in to check out our pieces. But as of this moment, we are strictly an online company only. And going back to Brian's friend, we used to have a walk-in.
We did.
We did. But we found that it's
under a different name, by the way.
Yeah, we found that it's very beneficial for both our customers and our own company that we actually operate online only, and I'll tell you why. Reason being is because going back to that whole shopping experience of what I've noticed about how people shop these days, going into stores, people are shopping the local businesses anyway. They're going there to touch, feel, see it, and there's no right or wrong to this, by the way. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
People, human nature, as customers and consumers, we're going to do whatever we can to maximize what benefits us. And if we can drive to a local store to touch, feel, and see it, and potentially get it for less somewhere else, a lot of times people will do that. So since I saw that, I wanted to make sure that, hey, in order to better the experience of our customers, we should focus our resources on how to maximize that through an online space, provide more products and services, provide the people to help benefit them, right? So that's the reason why we're doing it that way. But with that being said, the other experience that I have or I've noticed is that a lot of the stores that I used to walk into, I don't too much anymore. But when I do, I think that it's also a reflection of the online of basically shopping online. I mean, these stores these days, I rarely see any traffic anymore. Sometimes I wonder to myself, like, how are they even surviving? Really, I mean, I'm being completely honest, right? I don't know how they're surviving. I don't see anyone in there. But here's the thing about jewelry stores specifically, especially retail jewelry stores. Maybe sometimes all it takes is for them to make 1 or 2 sales per day, as opposed to like a clothing store where they have to make many sales per day, because the markup, or not the markup, but the actual dollar amount per jewelry piece is much higher for a luxury item than it is for, so let's just say a t-shirt store or a hat store. So they have to sell many more units to make the same amount of volume. So for jewelry stores, if they make 1 or 2 sales per day, that might actually be very good for them, right? But even these other stores that requires to sell many units per day, my example of a hat store or t-shirt store or any other stores that sells, smaller price items, if the traffic in the malls are not there, I really want, and a lot of times when I do go to the malls, I don't see the traffic, and I wonder to myself, what will happen to these businesses, right? Even on the weekends. I mean, when you go to the malls on the weekend, usually it's jam-packed. And I'm not speaking, I mean, I'm sure there are pockets all over the world where there are malls that are jam-packed. I'm sure there are. But I'm speaking for not the super popular malls. I'm talking about the malls that have been there for the last 50 years, and you could tell the traffic's no longer there. And I'm sure that there are people that can see this in real life. And if you do see this, by the way, leave a comment below. Let us know where you guys are, and let us know if you agree or disagree. I mean, that's just this is just a talking point. And
we're limited on spaces that we frequent.
Right.
So it's not like we've never seen the rest of the world at the same time.
Right. But even when I do travel, when I do travel and I do go to these shopping centers and shopping malls and so forth, I see the same type of thing.
Right.
And same type of behavior. People are still shopping on their phones. So that's just from my own personal experience. And I would have to say that that's what I've been kind of experiencing and noticing. So
yeah, let us know your thoughts on this, people.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts. I mean, comment below where you're from, which malls you go to, what kind of experience you had 10 years ago versus now. Do you do you feel like the traffic's gone up or down?
Is it based on age? Is it,
Right. Yeah.
Because that's what I experienced when I was younger. It was just like going to the mall. Like, that was the funnest thing to do, like, around that age. But then now it's just like, I have no time.
Right.
It's a problem to have, but, like.
Right. So I would, and I absolutely have to agree. It might be based on age, might be based on technology, might be based on different pockets of geography. It might be based on all types of things. Or maybe that's a specialized mall that might have much more traffic, just like you said, because you'd rather go to a vintage store, antique store where they have some unique products, versus a mall that have generalized mass-produced items that
kitschy.
Yeah, that you can pretty much buy anywhere or online. So that's just my personal experience. So, but what are some pros and cons? I would say the pros is you could definitely. If you're going to ask me what's my pro of going to a store, is if I really wanted to see what it looks like, if I wanted to touch it and feel it and see it and verify that color is a true red, or is it a pinkish red, or if it's a what have you. If I wanted to go into a store, that's the only reason, because I know if it is a mass marketed item, then I could pretty much get it anywhere online. And a lot of times maybe for less. Or that's other reason why I would go to a local store is similar to what you're saying. If it's a mom and pop store where I want to help
support the independent businesses.
Exactly. Support and help them benefit from a local customer. And just maybe the casual conversations, especially if you have a relationship with them. For example, like if you were to go to a restaurant that you've been eating there for the last 15 years, you know the owner. When they come, they welcome you, and they know your name, they know your family, they know those type of things. I mean, those are the type of businesses that I typically will love to go to, as opposed to just going on an app and ordering food home, right? I would like to go to, or your hairstylist, or whatever, so it's one of those stores where it's very personalized. That's usually when I would like to go to a store where it's more personalized and it makes you feel as if you are part of their family, their community, and that type of thing. But to your point, going to a store that's mass marketed, I know for sure I could buy it online elsewhere.
I agree.
Right?
I feel the same.
Yeah. So, but what's the cons? I mean...
The cons of which one?
Pick one. Yeah, I mean it's because the cons of one side is a pro of the other, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I would say the cons of buying online is the sizing, right? Because although companies try to standardize a size, many companies, especially when it comes to fashion, and I'm sure we had a conversation about that earlier. If you want to share about your own personal experience in terms of size, as to how they may vary from one company to the next, one brand to the next, or even one design to the next, even from the same company, right? And that many times, may not help the person out there buying online, because they may think it's their size, but it might come a little too tight or a little too loose. Which is a con, but if you were to walk into the store, at least you could try it on, and you'll know for sure if it fits or not. And
do I see advantages of having the stores, like the in-store shopping experience for everything, including clothes, staying? Like yes, because you as a consumer can go in there and you try stuff, and you get a lot from that experience, but what about the people that own the businesses? Like, I don't think that's beneficial to them unless there's a for sure chance that person walking in is actually going to buy from you and not another company. So I don't know if they'll stay. I don't know if they'll be going away. But I mean, I do still want that advantage of being able to touch, feel, see everything and make sure that it fits me.
Right.
But maybe just at the tip of our fingertips, yes, I want to try this on, and then an immersive experience opens up to me, and then I can go in there and try stuff on, and then do with it what I will. But
I think the marriage of the online experience versus the local mom and pop shop type of experience will be created through VR. So I think VR will take both out, because then it will truly feel like
these are theories, people. Do not come for us.
that's just what I foresee. And leave a comment again if you agree or disagree, especially if you follow. Especially if you follow technology as to the future of AI, VR, and those type of things.
Oh yeah, that's coming. No matter what, it's coming.
If we can somehow graph our actual body to the actual size,
I think that's not far-fetched of an idea.
And we walk into a VR store that's also they've already mapped out what the actual size feels and looks like. Then you could truly fit in and see if the jacket is too short or too long, right? And that'll be the true experience, and then that will.
Michael's demonstrating right now with his sleeve rolled up and then rolled down.
So for all you VR AI people that create this technology, I would love to bring F&B into there. If you guys can somehow bring the technology to that point.
Wow.
I see that.
We could be NPC. We could be like, hey, I'm Michael from Fire and Brilliance. I'm Sid.
Right. I'm sorry. That clapping, I got excited for podcast.
When you clapped, did the lights turn on? What,
no, Brian's just standing right there, so he happened to maybe go off there. So it's an automatic light.
We're not there yet with technology in this room yet.
Yeah.
Clap on, clap off.
So then I would have to say that how does this relate to the future, and how does this relate to the jewelry business in general, and how does this relate to basically what I foresee as how it will overtake the jewelry business. I think I've mentioned this to you before. I'm not a person that will hide from what I feel when it comes to this. I truly feel like businesses must adapt in order to survive. That's just the nature of the game.
I think that's where I saw, since I joined from the very beginning, when it was just you and Linda, I feel like, yes, you have taken chances so that you could also move with the population, move with technology, move with everything that's advancing. You always wanted to, jump on the bandwagon before everybody else did, so that there would be a bandwagon to jump on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I'll jump on with a few people, and then a few more will jump on, But I definitely see that jewelry businesses as an industry, I love the industry, right? So, and if anything at all, what we do here with F&B Geminar, what we do here with the podcast, what we do here just in general, it's not just for the general public that wants to understand jewelry or understand what we're about or even want to learn about our company. It's overall to promote the industry. It's overall to promote the business. It's overall to promote the future of the business. I think it's extremely important that the jewelry industry, if they do want to catch on the wave of the future, they need to think about the future more than what was working in the past. So the jewelry shopping in-store type of experience is a great experience for those people like my friend who would rather try things on. However, they're limited by what's in their selection on their showcase. Mind you that I hope that I do portray this in the right way, in the right light. Jewelry is just as expensive to the businesses as it is to the consumers, right? And for a jewelry store to stock up and provide all of these different options in their showcases, so if you ever walk into a jewelry store with hundreds and thousands of rings, that costs the business a lot of money. And there's no guarantee they're going to sell it. So with the online space, there are so many options now that people choose from. So if they're to walk into that store and out of the 2,000 rings, and they do not even like one of them, and they'd rather buy online, then that jewelry business is deeply in trouble, because they're going to have to hold that inventory. That is not cash. They can't spend jewelry. They can't feed their kids by spending jewelry. They feed the kids by spending cash, right? So, or cash is in, not hard cash, but no one holds that anymore, right? So, so I think it's extremely important that for the jewelry business to see the future, to see where it's headed, to kind of adapt to the future and go from there. Because although to a lot of people, and we get this a lot from our customers too, they're afraid of buying online. They're afraid to spend $2, $3, $5, $10, $20, $30,000 on a piece of jewelry that's sight unseen. For sure. I mean, I mean, that's super super hard to do that and spend that kind of money online and hope that you're going to receive something back in return. So that's why it's extremely important that you work with a credible business that knows what they're doing, that's been doing it for a while, that knows what they're talking about, that's educated, and all those type of things. But once you've made the research, I think you'll find that there are very credible businesses out there that will deliver on what they say and will stand behind their products. So I think that's where the business is at. That's where it's transitioning. And for those that do not want to transition, I foresee that they will be left behind. So yeah. The whole idea of trying on jewelry is extremely important, but these days the options are so limitless when it comes to custom jewelry, which we, obviously Sid that at Fire and Brilliance we specialize in custom jewelry. Mm-hmm. It's so limitless.
We do?
And you'd be surprised. A lot of people still don't know that we specialize in custom jewelry. They'll go on our website and say, oh, they don't have what I want, and they'll leave the website. But then obviously most of our fans do know that we specialize in custom jewelry. Mm-hmm. Many local jewelry businesses are limited to their selection, and that may also hurt that business as well. So the whole idea and the whole wave of the future is, in order to be different, you truly have to be different, and you have to stand out for them to want to shop with you. Otherwise, you're just more of the same. Mm-hmm. Like to your point, if you mass produce something, right? So I hope that we brought some value. I mean, that sounds a little depressing, to tell you the truth, but because I grew up in an era of both, right? I remember when I was going to school and before high school, that was pre-internet, and I used to actually go into the libraries to do book reports. I mean, like, I don't think any kid does that nowadays, right? So do
I know some kids.
Yeah. So do they still? A few. Right.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I still love going to bookstores and libraries and things like that. Oh, for sure,
but that's for your own personal development.
Right, exactly.
Not for like a book report. Mm-hmm. But do they call it book reports anymore? I don't know what they call it.
No.
So, anyway, I mean, times changed so much in the last decade alone, so who knows how far it's gonna be.
I was reading a book on a bench once. This is not super related, but I was reading a book on a bench once just outside of a retail store, and somebody went outside and was like, I don't know anybody who reads books anymore, like actual like solid books that you just read on their phone.
Right. The books that I'm into, I usually just get the audio book because right,
because
to your
it
point,
saves time.
I don't have time. So on my drive to work, on my drive to the gym or wherever it is, I'll just play it. I'll listen to it. Mm-hmm. But that's how I do it, and but reading is an enjoyment. So for people to love to read,
it also stimulates your brain in a different way.
It does.
So yeah.
It does. So so that's my take on it. Well, anyway, so did you have anything else that you want to say?
I enjoyed this talk. Sorry, Brian was showing us something and we kind of just looked off.
Brian actually brought up something I do want to talk about. Actually, Brian, thank you, Brian. Brian, thank you.
The Blockbuster? I saw this colors.
Great reference.
My prescription isn't that great right now. I need to get renewed, but I just saw blue and yellow on his phone, and I knew Blockbuster was what he was pointing at.
We obviously have to be talking to anyone that's at least 10 years or older to actually remember what Blockbuster is.
Do you all know what a VCR is? Cassette tapes.
Do you remember that slogan, "Be kind, rewind"? Well, anyways,
does anybody even know what that means anymore?
Blockbuster used to be a video store. That eventually became a CD store before they...
He's using quotation marks with his hands. In case you can't see, this is it's interesting to me and fascinating.
Or a DVD store, rather, where people would actually spend their Friday nights to take their loved ones, their kids, their date, their whatever. A lot of times it was a date night, right? So to just rent a movie, they would actually go to a physical store, and all of these new movies that are released from the movie theaters, movies that were in the theaters may take up to 9 months to a year before it would be released into Blockbuster. And so if you did not get a chance to take your date to the movies to watch a brand new movie, then maybe that would have been a date night to just rent a movie or take it home.
Aren't they like first come, first serve? Or weren't they?
Exactly. So there would be like maybe 20 per option.
Wow.
And if it's out, then you have to settle with some other random movie. But
the element of surprise is taken away from us now.
Right, exactly. But so when Netflix first came out, I still remember this. I was actually an early adopter of Netflix. They actually did not have the streaming service just yet. What they had was they'll ship 3 DVDs to your home, and then you can ship it back, and then they'll send you some new ones depending on what you want. And then when the streaming service came out, I think that was when they completely took out Blockbuster, because the convenience of just being able to stream any movie at any time in the convenience of your home without actually having to drive to a physical location, choose, and in the hopes that they still actually had that option, and in the hopes that you would actually like that movie, because you had to rent one movie for a few bucks, and if you were late, just like the library, they would charge you a fee. So
I'm a little relieved because I think I'm like overdue, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Don't come for me. You can't prove it.
They're out of business, so. But.
Moving on.
Okay. Should just air some laundry out there, but okay. Well, let's move on. Okay. Anyway, with Netflix now, how big they are, and again, for people that maybe are 10 years or younger, they may not know the pain of. Well, the enjoyment as well, but the pain of having to gas your car, driving to a location, rent a, stick into your VCR. Sometimes if they did not rewind it, you have to press rewind, wait for a few minutes, press play, and then watch the movie. But then at the same time, like you said, the element of surprise is actually pretty nice, because with Netflix nowadays, it's all instantaneous gratification, right? So if you didn't like the movie after the first 5 minutes, you're going to change it to the next movie. And sometimes I feel like, I'm not sure if you go through this, but I know I do. Sometimes I feel like it takes me an hour just to pick a movie before I end up, and then I'll turn it off after 5 minutes because I didn't like the movie, because there are so many options now. As opposed to before, I would go into Blockbuster, even if the movie sucked, I would watch it from the beginning to end.
Because that's what you had.
Because that's all I had, and I spent $6 renting the movie, and that's all I had, and that's what we're going to do for the night. That right? So, but then it forced me to actually enjoy even a bad movie, as opposed to now there's so many good stuff out there, but I'm not even enjoying it because the options are hard to choose from.
I mean, reviews are very important, right? When it comes into all of this as well.
Yeah.
With the shopping experience, because you don't know unless you hear from somebody else. Which is why we have like reviews on Wedding Wire, which is why we have Fab Fan Features, which is why we have people even on Instagram still following us after making a purchase, making a review, saying, hey.
I love you guys, by the way.
I know. We love you guys too.
A few moments later.
But anyway, so going back to our fans.
Yes, our fans.
When they are doing the research to shop for jewelry, custom jewelry, engagement ring, moissanite jewelry, what have you, online, typically they'll follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and that type of stuff. And many times they probably just stop following us after they've bought something or got the information they needed. So for those that sticks around and supports us and really root for us to and see our growth and see what we're doing here, I appreciate you a lot, because it means a lot to us. We're working so hard to bring a lot of value within the industry, within our culture, within just the way the progression of the jeweler business is headed. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for taking a look at our content. Thanks for leaving comments. Thanks for providing us with the feedback. That is totally appreciated. And with Sid managing Instagram, she definitely appreciates all of your comments, and so forth. And even for those that leave the negative comments, I appreciate you too, because then it provides me with some feedback as to what we can do better, or just to hear about people that don't like what we're doing. It's kind of cool too, because it gives me feedback as to what people don't like about it. I don't take offense to anything, to tell you the truth. So,
I mean, reviews, that's why we're on this topic of reviews, right? Because you said you take like over an hour or something like that to choose a movie. Reviews are exactly why I don't spend that long like looking for a movie, because then you get to see who thought this was bad or who thought this was good, and it's just based on what they say and you can kind of just kind of gauge what kind of person that is, and
gotcha.
like if you have the same kind of perspective that person does, or this person over here that thought it was a great movie, then you can see for yourself if you will like this movie or not, and then you kind of just choose it.
Right.
And then most of the time, it's fail-proof.
Right. So, and I guess the issue that I go through is I typically will filter it based on reviews, and even after that, there's still 1,000 options. There's so
World
many
is your
options
oyster.
now, right?
Yeah, limitless. Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, there's so many options. Okay. Well, anyway, so thank you. You know, I definitely hope that you guys enjoyed everything that we're doing here. Again, leave a comment below, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notifications. Okay.
All the buttons.
All the buttons. Basically, what the notification will do is it'll provide you with. That's what it is, a notification on the newest episode of the F&B Gemini podcast, showcase, all of that. So if in case you want to take a look at our jewelry, learn more about the business, learn more about gemstones, you will be notified. So again, if you have not left a comment before and you do want to say something, make sure you leave a comment. We do try our very best to get back to everyone as possible. I personally reply to many of the comments. Not always, but our team will definitely reply as well. So thanks again, everybody. It's Sid and I. Until next time, I'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye.